This trail is beating us up.
Welcome to Florida Jeep Rides. We're riding with the Orlando Jeep Club today, meeting up in Altoona for a Jeep ride in which we're going to go up into Ocala National Forest.
Well, we are ready. These are the brave Jeeps that are willing to get the scratches.
We're in the YJ because the trails are supposed to be scratchy scratch. So we'll see how scratchy they are. Airing down.
Airing down.
There's a few more Jeeps here now. We went from like 11 and this whole row pulled in of Jeeps, plus there's some over there. See that? You want to buy a Jeep hood?
Oh no, I have a Jeep.
You want to buy a Jeep hood that has a big gator that says "You are gator bait" on it?
I've seen that Jeep before. Who has not been on a club trail ride before? Do you have a CB? Yes. Karen has, and it's not her first trail ride. So we'll be on channel 12 for the CBs. For those newcomers, the one vital thing that you do is always to keep the guy behind you in view.
Two things. I brought a chainsaw, so if I could take the white Jeep and get behind Richard's little Willis, I don't want to, bump anybody, but Pete wants the chainsaw near the front.
I see them now. They're way back about a quarter mile.
This trail that we're about to go down is one of the most narrow trails I have been on. Got a little pumpkin behind us. Last time I took a group out on this trail, about 100 yards into this place where we're turning right, one of the guys said he had to bail. He wasn't gonna go on the trail ride. We turned around and we went straight. So, got trees cut down in the way. It seems like it's less scratchy than it was previously.
I agree.
But you got to pay attention, because some of these branches are big enough to poke a hole in your top or bust out your plastic window. My windows are out. It's a cool trail. Ocala National Forest. By the way, if it's a little bit shakier, we're kind of doing an experiment. This is the new GoPro Hero 8, and it's supposed to have stabilization. So we're trying it without a gimbal.
So that first one I had was a Yamaha 125.
Watch your side. Oh, like stuff is crawling all on me. Let me tell you that these are tight trails, and I keep feeling like there's things crawling all on me. Sometimes you shouldn't take the doors off because my arm is getting hit.
That was there already. It's kind of, leans a little thing. I don't see it. I lost you, Bob. Well, we're up here in the section where there's no more trees. Say what? I'm down here on a rabbit trail.
So this is a Ocala seldom used trail, and it's tight, so it's not for people with new Jeeps,
I just made a left turn.
or for people who are not paying attention. If you look in front of
I
us,
don't see anybody in front of me yet. I still smell you.
I haven't even put it in four-wheel drive, by the way. Two-wheel drive. Despite all the rain, and there's been a lot of rain, it's dry. It's enough to keep the dust down, which is great in a trail ride, especially because I'm about 10 to 12 Jeeps back, or maybe more. So it's nice to keep the dust down. So, riding with the Orlando Jeep Club. A club ride is a little different than going out and riding with a couple friends. One, a club ride is pretty much you're part of a parade going off-road, so it's not like you can stop and take pictures. I have to make a decision sometimes if I see a snake whether it's worth jumping out, because there's about 25 Jeeps with us. So in a club ride, one, you should have a CB, because you've heard a lot of CB chatter, but also it's for information of turning left, turning right. In addition to that, you just keep the person in front of you in sight and the person behind you in sight. If you go around the corner, you wait till you can see the Jeep behind you. That's pretty much it. So you ride and it's enjoyable. It's really great because if there's any areas where you might get stuck, there's a whole bunch of people to pull you out. Whether it's the person in front of you or the person behind you. So getting stuck is not really so much of an issue. Another thing that I really like about the trail rides is that you can see the person in front of you going through a water crossing or through a ditch or over a tree, and it gives you a good read as to how to go through something. Ocala, more or less, is pretty much like this mostly. It's scrubby oak trees, pine trees, sandy. There are some tight trails. There are plenty of open roads if you just want to come out. There are sights to be seen. There's a bombing range in the middle, as long as they're not doing live bombing, and you can go to a website and find that out. In addition to that, there are sinks. There's several springs and state parks mixed in the middle of all this, and it is huge. So our very first ride with the Orlando Jeep Club was in Ocala. Right now, that's my #2 most popular video, is riding with the Jeep Club. Today, we have pretty beefed up machines, but we have several stock Jeeps. We even have a flat fender, Willis with those skinny flat fender things. So far, there's been no recoveries. We've just had to stop a few times for trees in the way. But right now, we're in a nice open area. The weather is nice, the sun is coming out, the rain clouds have moved away, and overall, we're just cruising through the woods with a pack of Jeeps. So if you're looking for a club to join, We've been members for 3 years with the Orlando Jeeps Club. 3 years?
3 years, maybe going on.
It'll be 4 years come October. I do like my door off. I cannot tell you of the countless Saturdays
the tires are back.
I have spent in the CJ7 driving on trails and catching snakes, because you can see them, they're right there, and it's easy to jump out. Not so many snakes anymore. I'm not sure if that's an increase of the predators that would eat them. The gators eating them. A lot of the birds of prey have increased. Conservation. Snakes are there. Just a lot of snakes are nocturnal.
Here, it's not on there.
Quite a bit of a drop down there. You can see, that's a big drop.
I've never seen that deep hole before. So more than likely what that was is a sinkhole. In Florida, underneath is what we have is the water that travels down through the state of Florida. It's called the Florida Aquifer, and sometimes the water in the aquifer gets low, then it rains a lot, making the ground really heavy, and on occasion the ground just falls into the aquifer, causing a sinkhole. There was a really big one in Winter Park sometime around 1980 that swallowed some houses and a Porsche, the back of a Porsche dealership, and it's right in the middle of Winter Park now, off of Fairbanks.
Okay, guys, we're going to come to T, we're going to turn right,
And
then just go along.
that one looks filled in.
So we'll be swinging another right.
And that sinkhole looks like it was a very long time ago, because it's filled itself with trees and dirt.
Trees are definitely reaching inside.
Trees, deer flies, branches, sticks, ticks. Oh, here comes
Here
the big
comes
one.
the big one. Woo!
Itchy, itchy, scratchy, scratchy.
You don't need to clutch the ship.
Well, whoever's second in line says they may have just lost their clutch. That happened to us one time. A stick actually came up, went next to the transfer case, and knocked the slave cylinder line off the end. It's a fitted closed system from the top cylinder to the bottom cylinder, so pretty much there's no fixing it. I was up in DeLand area and had to drive home by disconnecting the safety switch on the clutch pedal. I put it in first gear
Alright, we're back running again.
and turned the key, and it would just go. And so I would shift it to whatever gear I could get.
Plug suede problem?
But sounds like they're having an issue. Yeah, yeah.
captain in the artillery. And I thought he could.
And if you can see where the plant is.
So I'm stopped.
Nobody told me about any of these scratches.
It's inside the steering wheel.
So
Are you want me to get it from my angle?
there's this thing about getting out into nature, and sometimes nature comes in.
Inside my side now.
I'm moving again.
Most all of Ocala, a lot of this area has some rolling hills, some ups and downs. There are a few places where you have water crossings. There are a few places where there's just water that gathers in the roads, even regular roads. Trails vary from very wide to very thin. There's a big crisscross pattern of large dirt roads that run along power lines. So overall, there's something for everybody that is out here. Horseback riding, whatever.
Dairy Queen along the route is there. I'm kind of craving a peanut butter parfait again.
I love trail rides.
The guys are helping out by chopping some of the things that hang down.
But it's hot in the summer in this YJ with no air conditioning. And it's fine if you're moving, but when we get stopped, and we're getting stopped because trees fall down across the trail, and then you have to stop. Sometimes you have to stop because there's an obstacle and people are having to be recovered. Right now we got 2 trees across the top of the trails, so every tall Jeep is having an issue. I shouldn't have any issues because I'm lower than the rest. YJ.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks. Now, if you look look at the link below me, there is a link for magnetic armor that you can put on the side of your JK, and it goes and protects your paint. If you've had your Jeep and it's been wheeling for any length of time, you probably have already gotten some custom pen striping. This is basically what you have to decide. Hold on, let me get past this oak tree. Oh, right there. You have to decide whether you want to go out and have fun with your Jeep, or you can keep it scratch free and go for open only trails. But sometimes you gotta have a little bit of fun. Sometimes you just gotta go. Randy would not take her blue 2010 out here. It doesn't have scratches on it. The red Jeep has some scratches on it and has been on these berry trails. The black Jeep could use a paint job, so it doesn't really matter with the black Jeep. This is called a clear cut because it's enforced and they do forestry work out here. They'll clear cut, take out all the timber, replant saplings, let them grow back, and they do that in cycles. So every 20-30 years they clear cut. Wow.
Yeah, Florida insurance covered that. Front windshield.
Yeah.
Yeah, front windshield.
How's it going?
It's going good. And you're good?
Yeah. Somebody got a little bit muddy.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah.
And with the Jeep Club at lunch, we stop somewhere and have lunch. Nice trail. I recognize it.
I was going to say you did a lot of those.
Yeah, well, I turned around on several of them. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, we came up 42.
See YouTube videos?
Yeah. Yep, you're in one now. Yeah.
There are some bits that I have.
You called out sick?
Yeah.
I work every weekend. I said, no, I got to go on a trail ride. I haven't been on one in forever.
Nice. What year is that?
That's a 1958.
1958, a little before I was born.
Yes.
Is there a reason why you picked 58, or it just presented itself?
Because it was for sale.
Because it was for sale.
No, No, so this is a CJ3b, and this is a 58, and it is, or it was originally a farm Jeep.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was owned by a rancher in Georgia, or a farmer in Georgia, and he used it on the farm for whatever. That's kind of why you see this extension on the end here. I think he kind of added a platform.
You might have had some kind of PTO on the front.
It's quite possible, and it does in fact have a PTO.
Really?
Yes. So if you can get over and see this, the
lever back there.
yeah, the lever, exactly. So obviously the standard shifter, this is getting it in and out of four-wheel drive. This is high and low, and that's the PTO.
And
So-
what's the PTO go to?
Well, it runs out the back of the transfer case, and normally there'd be a shaft that would take it out to the back.
Well, let's go look. So that's the PTO.
Yep, except there's actually not a shaft in there. So it's missing, but everything is there if you wanted to put one in. You
Yeah.
can do it.
See, Jeep used to be GP for general purpose vehicle, and as a general purpose vehicle after the war they used them on farms. You could put a plow on the front of it, you could put a ditch witch on the front of it, and they were inexpensive.
Hey, I know that just empty every pocket.
That's right. And how long have you had it?
So I've had it for about 10 years.
10 years.
I bought it actually from a guy in Ocala who bought it from the original owner. And I kept it for a long time and basically restored it mechanically. But I did not want to restore it cosmetically because I like to wheel it.
Yeah.
And yeah, things like today where we're getting a lot of scratches on things, I don't worry about it. I just go right through it. It's not a problem.
And your windshield's down.
Windshield's down.
And you got your plate.
Now, unfortunately, Florida Trail Storage.
3 pounds.
So
3 pounds.
what color was it originally?
You know, it was red. It
was red?
Presidential red. Yep.
Presidential red.
So something interesting about this, it is a 3B, and you're familiar, I'm sure, with 3A and 3B and 2A and 2B. So when they went to 3B, they changed from the flathead engine, the L head, to the F head, which is with the overhead cam on. And they needed to make the hood a little higher, so it's just it's another 4 or 5 inches higher than the standard hood would be. They actually kept that engine all the way into the CJ5s, but they figured out how to get a lower hood on it again and drop it down. So this is almost 100% original. It definitely is as far as the drive train goes.
Yeah.
But the back end is not. What I got out of the story from the guy I bought it from was apparently a tree fell on it at some point when the first owner had it. So from about here back, this is all original. This is original.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of the paint coloration there.
You definitely can, and this is not the original. This is aftermarket.
Yeah.
And you see it on this as well. Normally this kind of loops in,
Yeah.
and it's not welded to that spot. So, and then you can see these little bolts here, and they just bolted sheet panels onto the old body. And what was left of it anyway. Quite a bit of it is rusted away underneath when you look at it.
But it goes.
But it goes.
And it just goes and goes and goes.
Yes, it's a little mountain goat. So it's also got the original drivetrain. So it's got Dana 44s front and rear from the factory.
Dana 44s.
Dana 44s front and rear, and it's 538 gearing on the front and the rear.
And 538 gearing. So it is a little tank.
It's a little tank.
Not, what was that other one they were talking about? A tank? They were talking about a old guy tank or something.
Yeah.
They sign it saying they're responsible for it, but when I ask
And you can ask a lot of the guys here, they've seen it. You know, I use it at the Jeeping with Judd. I drive the moderate trails. It did all the moderate trails, no problem this year. Okay. Because it's such a small wheelbase, it's only 28-inch tires. But it just scrambles.
Does it have a name?
It does not have a name.
Every Jeep has a story. What is your favorite Jeep story?
Oh, this particular Jeep?
Like the time you ran from the cops and drove over 15 palm trees? Or...
Unfortunately, 45 to 50 miles an hour is about all you're going to get out of it, so we're not going to be able to do that.
Almost like a YJ with a 4-cylinder.
Exactly. Probably my favorite is at Hard Rock one time. This is a failure story. I'm going up a steep hill, trying to get up over it, and I had to stop real fast. I hit the brakes, and the brakes totally failed.
Wow.
Brake unit inside down underneath, just all the fluid went flying everywhere, and I had to roll back down the hill backwards with people scrambling behind me.
Wow.
I fortunately was able to warn them in time. But little things like that are things you have to kind of be prepared for with a vehicle.
Well, it's an older
that's 62
Jeep,
years
definitely.
old, yeah. Yeah.
It's what Jeeping is about. It's what started it. So
That's what started it.
If
Yeah.
we shut it off,
love it. Well, thank you. And I'm Matt, and you're
Richard,
Richard.
good to see you.
Well, thank you for sharing your story.
You're most welcome.
Yeah, this moves up a whole lot more than my hand.
Let's slow down a little bit to let the tail end catch up.
I am so glad we did not bring the blue Jeep
Or the red Jeep.
or the red Jeep.
Oh my. Let me tell you, I'm getting beat to death. Ah.
Came out and changed my fast to a 6%.
Ah. This. Oh. This is getting tangled in here. Watch yourself. I'd suggest that everybody take their doors off like me so that you could really experience that trail.
That screeching sound as I go through.
Don't know that I've ever been on a trail that beat us up that bad.
I have never ever been on something that's designated by the Forestry Service as a trail that was that bad, because that was pretty bad. Now if I had rhino lined and my windows were up and my doors were on, that would be one thing, but there's like spider webs and spiders hanging off my mirror.
Oh, well, it was.
Well, it was. I just knocked it off. There's deer flies buzzing around on the inside.
And we have sprayed and sprayed and sprayed.
Peter, next time can we ride in a forest made out of, like, I don't know, feather dumpsters or something?
See those? They have been all over the place.
It'll be night time.
Another one.
There's a place up in Tallahassee that's solid like this, and we went there a few weeks ago, called Tate's Hell. You stay on the road simply because there is no going off of the trail, and that's how that was. You pretty much stay on that trail. There's nowhere to go off of a trail like that. But this is the reason for trails like that you get rhino lining done, because then it's not a problem. Different types of trails for different people. I mean, that was, to me, that was a adventure. We took the old Jeep because we knew in advance that it was a scratchy, tight trail. But that's something that some people will never get to fully experience. What traveling in a Jeep, where no car would ever go, is like. I mean, you saw the branches coming in, not only going out in nature, but nature's coming in. If you get the past the fact of that you're scratching the paint, it's different. To each his own. But I've done it before, and I'll probably do it again. But not in Randy's Jeep. bombing range where they do live ammunition bombing.
We're on the main run back now anyway.
Oh, look at the turtle.
No, you can go that way. He's gonna hide under the tree.
So you can show
Yeah.
so people what Peter means when he says a little tight.
A little tight. When it says what's the word that he used? Imminent damage, severe scratching. No kidding. How I came out of that without blood, I do not know. Because I was leaning all the way in trying to not get slapped.
Right.
So what's it like to go for a trail ride through Ocala National Forest? Two things. It could be like this. Beautiful and wide open. It can be a little more narrow, but it can be downright scratchy. Just to let you know that everyone who went on this ride was very aware that it had tight trails and that there was going to be heavy pen striping on it. So everyone was advised in advance what this trail would be like. Luke? Yeah. Soft scratch that off the bucket list. No pun intended. I loved it. Thanks for sharing your vehicle with us.
We're happy to do it.
Yeah, we appreciate it. You can scratch that trail off your bucket list.
Many scratches. You had asked me earlier what I thought my favorite ride.
Yes.
Okay. So actually there's two of them. One is I really enjoy Jeeping with Judd.
Oh yeah.
Trail leading or following and driving this on the moderate trails and actually outperforming all those other expenses.
I hear you.
Okay. Doing it on 28-inch tires and open diffs. It really makes a big difference. And the other thing I really enjoy is taking people on a ride with me.
Oh yeah.
I've never been in a Jeep like this before. They thoroughly enjoy it.
Well, we'll have to do it when they do the Judd appreciation. Yeah. We'll have to go for a ride in it.
Wow.
Hey guys, thanks for coming. Well, you can scratch that trail off your bucket list.
Yeah, the pinstripe trail. I think I named it myself now.
Yeah.
Pinstripe. I think I got some.
Yeah, you got a little bit.
Got a little bit, yep.
We had one with Jim's windshield. That was the worst of it. But your windows.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You got these are your trail windows? Yeah, that worked. It is hot. I mean, it is August hot right now. Ocala National Forest. And we just finished it. And he's airing up. And just like that, we're done. It's hot, and I don't think I'm gonna put my doors on for the way home. I'm heading back home. We're gonna stop and get a big old jug of water.